was Stephen Elliott?
I don't know.
Steve. We'll call him Stephen Elliott.
Still, you call it Stephen.
And what's the? Hang on. What's the name of the scriptwriter?
Those guys who wrote the much better Death at a Funeral.
Today we're going to be reviewing the film, the Australian film, A Few Best Men. That's what it's called. Directed by Stephen Elliott, who was also the director of the acclaimed Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and written by the writers of Death at a Funeral. So, Ian, what did you think of the film?
I thought it was complete shit.
Plot
Boom.
points.
Four friends. The main character, this dashingly good-looking British man, goes on holiday and meets this horrendously beautiful Australian girl
The man
on holiday.
the man is played by the douchebag from Twilight.
He meets this Australian girl on holiday, goes back to this rainy, boring Britain with his three kind of doofus friends, and tells them that he's going to get married to this girl in Australia. So the four of them head back over to Australia, and so most of the film is them in like the 2 days or the 24 hours before the wedding and the day of the wedding.
And shenanigans ensue.
Exactly.
I think, to start with, the main problem I had with this film was that it felt more like the entire film was set up to so that you'd see this guy with his hand up a sheep's butt.
Basically gag after gag after gag, no real plot or emotional or character development. It's kind of like, you know, an episode of Family Guy, except Family Guy is actually funny.
There are some where it does escalate, where kind of one thing does influence, or the next thing kind of piles on top of the next.
It's like you're telling a joke, though. It's not like you're telling a story. In terms of story, there was the beginning and there was the end, and all the rest all the stuff in the middle had no impact on the results of the story.
Yeah, any of us could have gone into the edit, or could go into the edit right now and go, okay, we're going to take out that joke, and the movie would work fine.
Like, the reason Death at a Funeral was so funny and was so successful was that it was built out of the characters. Like, the jokes came out of the characters rather than, in this case, all the characters came out of the jokes. And they had a character whose entire personality was based around the fact that he'd just been dumped. No, that's
I didn't know who that guy was.
No,
I had no idea who he was. He was just crying the whole time.
Yeah, they didn't have personalities or pasts or anything. And they tried to kind of incorporate this, I don't know, friendship, where, you know, but
family
you didn't get the sense of that they were actually friends, because they spent the most of the
Yeah,
time hating each other.
If you want to make a comedy or satire or whatever, your character's got to be human to begin with. You got to love your characters. You got to love them from the very start, from frame one. I absolutely hated all these characters.
Yeah.
I hope that the drug dealer character came in with a shotgun and killed everyone. Xavier Sandler was just a whiny little bitch that entire film. And also, he can't fucking act.
No.
Is he Australian or British? Australian? He must be Australian American. He ain't British. I mean, with his fake British accent. Fake British accent. Oh, boys! Oh my god! What the fuck is wrong with you? Shut the fuck up.
The movie starts off with kind of this fake, like home video footage.
I wish they'd stopped doing fake home video footage.
It was so bad. And this is the writer's fault. It's not her fault. But it was so phony. Because she's there, she's beautiful. She's this beautiful, blonde, pure, innocent, bikini girl. And she's saying, I love you. I wish I could just stay with you forever. And then him behind the camera going, well, why don't we? Let's get married.
A lazy character. What the fuck is she there for?
Yeah,
I mean, apart from she doesn't do anything.
She looks really pretty.
Yeah, she looks. Apart from that, but the only thing in the storyline she contributes to is just all the parts are basically, oh, I love him, we're getting married. Second part, oh, what? I think I'm down here because I don't know who you are, because, you know, after meeting you for like 3 months.
The real problem with her character was that it wasn't a character, it was a kind of idea. Like, it could have been a puppet, or it could have been like one of those blow-up sex dolls. The only thing she ever did was decide to go with him at the end when he bought her an island.
He's like sodomized her sheep and basically ruined her wedding. But hey, he's bought her an island.
How vapid do you want to make her seem?
Yeah.
why is it that the father, the whole father wanting to make her a senator thing,
Yeah.
that gets blown off at the end? Like, that doesn't have any impact on her
Oh, yeah.
at all. The mother's all like, oh my god, I can't believe, and then she gets told and she's like, I don't want to do that, and then she gets an island and it's all okay. Or maybe it would be better if she actually dropped this guy because he's a douchebag, dropped her father because he is a
I know.
douchebag,
Yeah.
and then just leave it with
I
her
agree.
being like a free...
I bet the reason she stays is because Xavier Samuel's character has a chocolate dick that ejaculates money. That's the only explanation.
The audience that we saw it with, they were having a ball.
They were laughing.
They
I
were
mean, I
laughing.
laughed.
They were laughing a lot. Yeah, I laughed a
there
few
were bits
times.
that were funny.
I think that it's not as kind of bad as it is just sort of lazy. And if it was really bad, then the audience wouldn't have been laughing.
I've seen some pretty bad movies that people have laughed at.
All right.
But that was probably because it was trying just so damn hard to get people to laugh with it. Like we've talked about how it fails as a film on its own terms. But but I mean, as an Australian film, I think the failings are even more significant.
Obvious references to Blue Mountains, Sydney,
I mean,
and Labour Party.
if you're going to make an Australian film, what you're going to want to do is make sure that it represents what Australian identity is, and it gives an insight into Australianness from the Australian side, like representing it correctly. What this does is it's like an outsider's view of what an Australian life is like. It's the sort of film that Hollywood would make about Australia.
Yeah, and it's not an Australian movie at all.
I don't think that this is the sort of film that we take out when we go overseas and say, hey, let's check out what Australians are like. Priscilla is actually has some beautiful images of the Australian outback of the Australian landscape, and you'd think that The Few Best Men set in the Blue Mountains would have that sort of thing, but I found that it was very limited.
It was basically like shooting an episode of Better Homes and Gardens.
On location, the Blue Mountains, as you were saying, and they use a composited shot at the end to reveal the landscape when he pulled it. And I was just like, hello? What? The Australian landscape can stand up on its own. Like, it doesn't need the digital enhancement to make it gorgeous.
I agree.
And it just adds this layer of phoniness.
Phoniness,
and you turn it off, like, you don't want to see that.
I can't think of another movie that's similar to Priscilla.
No.
Oh me.
It's the kind of movie that couldn't have been made anywhere else. And this movie could have been made in any other country. This movie is not an Australian movie.
I'd be surprised if Few Best Men actually made its budget back.
I doubt it. We'd have to keep an eye on at least on international figures.
I think it's possible that it could.
Seriously, that would do anything in the American market. You can't out Hollywood.
I think it could do okay
I
in America
don't know
because
any.
because
Why?
it's catered to them.
If I want to
It's
see
made for them.
who are they going to sell? Who are they going to push? Going to push Xavier Samuel, but that's about it. I mean,
I mean, the guy
If-
from
if-
Love
if-
Actually.
if-
People
if-
love Love Actually.
yeah, but that has a whole stable of British stars though.
I am willing to bet good money that most of the people we saw the movie in the cinema with did not know this was an Australian movie.
I'm sure that if they had known, they wouldn't have gone.
Exactly. This is a bigger problem. I mean, we can't.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that we can't advertise Australian films as Australian films because we're scared that people won't go and see them.
Which is true.
Like one of the most disappointing
Try to
films.
build your
One of the
profile.
most disappointing things I felt when watching A Few Best Men was that it was an Australian film and it didn't feel like it was made for me. Like I am
Yeah.
Australian.
I felt like a foreigner watching it.
Yeah, and it just felt sad that I could go to an Australian film and feel so detached from it.
Yeah.
I don't know how pleased I am about making films that make me feel good.
If you want to feel good, do crack there.
Do crack instead. We'll put that as as a super.
Okay, do we have anything else to say about?
I'll start off. I'll give it 1 out of 5.
Are we doing that?
Are we doing that?
Yes.
Okay. If I was to give it a rating out of 5, I'd give it 0. If you're looking just for a laugh, you should go see something else instead.
Just go watch The Hangover again.
If you want something intelligent, don't see this film. If you want something that represents Australians well, don't see this film.
You're not making a very good case for it.
No, it's crap.
Oh.
Don't see this film. Plot
Boom.
points that
For what it was trying to do, right, which is how I think you should judge it, it is okay. So if you want to go and see a movie that will make you laugh at a bunch of funny gags, it's okay.
I have a
How's
knock knock joke book if you really want some
A
funny
knock knock
gags.
joke. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Or so those are your options. See this movie,
Watch The
buy
Hangover
a
again.
knock knock joke, watch The Hangover, or do crack.
Actually, crack sounds pretty good.